Welcome. BitmonkeyTV, episode 45, Whimsical Wing It Wednesday. Hope you can hear me loud and clear. Thank you for tuning in, and shout out to the one viewer already. I'm trying to keep that lobby as short as possible. How you doing today? Let me turn down this music for you guys. So let's just start off by reminding everybody, if you're aware of the VFriends project, the NFT project, I am loaning out. What's up, Chris? Thanks for tuning in. We're loaning out here at BitMonkey Studio 5 Moral Monkey, the token access every single year for the next 3 years to join us at VCon. We're covering the round trip airfare and hotel expenses for these lucky winners. And all you have to do is go to moralmonkeymob.com to apply. There's a short little video explaining the contest and all the information that's available as of now. You just have to fill out a Google form. And then as far as round 2 and beyond, there's going to be 5 total rounds, and only 55 applicants will proceed to the next round. So have some exciting things in the works, and opportunity for creatives as well. So if you're a creative, whether or not you're a creative, apply. But parts of the contest will be, creative challenges. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's just a little sneak peek and a hint. Awesome. I appreciate it, man. And then also Monkey Bites is another thoughtful NFT project. Go to monkeybites.io to learn more. We are going through some adjustments. I'm going to be deploying a new web page here pretty soon, explaining the focus here. We're breaking down that massive project into smaller, more manageable steps. So starting off with the Miners DAO, which is something that wasn't really in the original one, if you think about it, right? The Miners Fund was there, but it was never going to be a DAO. So a lot of opportunity, long-term mindsets, right? It's not one of those short-term pump and dump type of PFP projects or anything like that. We're not worried about the floor, right? Because the floor is only going to go up. That's just what happens with that type of project. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in and checking out that website. And let's get into it. So, Chris, if you don't mind typing in, what are the primary questions you have? I'm going to pull up the Discord, but we're going to kind of wing it today, but also answer some tech-related questions for starting a podcast with a budget, I believe, right, is a focus, as well as whether or not we can repurpose the old one. I think we ruled out repurposing the old laptop, but I'd love to. And yeah, Chris, appreciate it, man. It's this whole thing started with the Discord and VFriends. As I mentioned, I was on that road trip and just interacting in there and finding ways to give back to his community, which has given me so much. Just formed, just day by day, bit by bit. It's pretty sweet. Yeah. So as far as your microphone, right? I remember you talking. Do you have let's start off by saying this, right? If you just want to best build for a podcast and art machine. Okay. I'm going to go on the podcast front and do a little snippet that Gary would say. We all have a smartphone, right? I know there's this app called Anchor, and it allows you to record, right? You can bring people on the call. You record that conversation, and it allows you to then upload its audio, right? This is not the vlog part, but it gives you the audio, and it's so simple. So if anybody watching this just wants to start a podcast and is thinking about all of the equipment that they need, you really don't need much just to start, right? Just start bit, day by day, and see how you like it, and then go and get something like this. For me, getting something like this, involved budget at the end of the year. I had some budget to spend. So I was like, I want to start this podcast. So let me buy these mics ahead of time. You know what I mean? And they kind of sat on a desk for 3 months until Scott came on board and motivated me to start this. So shout out Scott if you're watching, man. Hopefully you can come on Friday. I'll give you a call, see what you're up to. But yeah, going on that front. So the best build for a podcast and art machine, what would you say the budget is? Because I can share with you the ones that I've purchased, right? You know, these Shure mics are nice. You don't need to get these. But the mixer, you know, the audio interface that I have that can, you know, plugs into USB and allows me to use that as the mic and the audio. It's like $169. It wasn't much. It's practically plug and play, right? So easy to use. So I'm going to pull that up on my screen here. So this is the one that I got that pairs with it. And I do have one of those cloud mic activators, right? Now, let me ask, do you want to get a mic like this? Or you want to use like a USB mic, like one of those Yetis? Because if you use, that's bypasses all these equipment. I think it's the Yeti. These are cheap, right? It's like the cost of the interface. Okay. And that's for everything, right? That's for, so 1200 to 1500, that's for the system as well as the audio equipment. Because this also bypasses having to purchase like a really nice mic, right? It'll do the job. Like you'll see Tom Bilyeu, if you watch some of those vlogs, he uses that on most of them, especially when he's mobile. Like it's a great mic. It's a great mic. I still want to get one for the Go, you know, but I think I've found a way to make these mobile. So it's an exciting little setup. Well, let's see. So do you want to know just the system? Okay. Now I know we had to talk about PC versus Mac. Now we're both PC people, so I guess we'll run off with PC, right? I've always found that Intel processors are more reliable. Now AMD always fits a budget, right? And it's always preferred for especially those younger gamers. I mean, I rocked AMD for a while too. You know, earlier on when I had to support myself and pay for all my own equipment, I was like, shoot, you know, I got to save some money. But, you know, later on, I found that Intel long term, it's just a reliable chip. Do you prefer what type of tower do you prefer? You want something small? You want something like something you can put down to the side? Do you have any preference on that? I've personally found now for everybody watching this, I am not like affiliated. I'm just recommending these things because I like these companies, and I've found over the years, you know, they provide great results. If you like a nice, sleek, quiet case, the Fractal, which one was it? I remember having an engineer come to us, and he was retired. So he didn't want all the fancy lights, and he had done countless hours and brought so much research to the sales desk I was working at the time. And I'm pretty sure it was Define. Like the way this thing is insulated, it's so quiet and it keeps it so cool and it's so fucking sleek. I did rock one of these for a little while, but I just got a really crazy laptop that it's just easier. I keep this thing backed up. That way I can restore its image at any moment in time if something happens to it. But yeah. Hey, I mean, let's go take a look because I don't want to steer away from Apple, right? Especially if you want to like try it out. Like I got nothing against them. I've just always had a friendly feud with them because I'm a PC kid. I grew up in a family computer store that was all PC, you know, that's but yeah, so there you go. For anybody watching, I should find a way to put the chat on the screen. He's saying, but we're on a budget. That's something Apple doesn't help out with. That is something Apple doesn't help out with. Damn, what do you guys got here? What is this? What is this sorcery? Thing's thin as fuck. I could only imagine the teardown on that. The thinner they get, the more difficult they get to work on. That's why eventually I phased out of hardware. You know, just the time putting into to fixing machines. Plus I drifted off into networking, so it was just a natural evolution in the career. But but yeah, that damn. And all it takes is one crack. Oh, but those things look interesting. I'd want to play with one, you know, for sure. But let's talk. So I'll just talk components that I like, that I live and die by. My dad, ever since he started his store, he found that, you know, super micro amongst server boards are the most reliable, hands down, right? And then Asus, ASUS. Once again, not affiliated with them, but I've been rocking their boards since day one. And I get the occasional AS Rock, the ASROCK. If you don't know, right? Fuck it, let's talk PC talk. If you don't know, I might as well pull these up on the screen too. They still make solid boards. Now, don't get me wrong, they do have budget boards, but I would always say never skimp on your motherboard. You know, you could get a budget one, but it's not going to be as reliable as something if you just spend like $50 more, depending on the model, because you'll find that they got a lot of like, you know, primary model number and then dash XYZ, for example. There's a lot of variations. So, and then number two is M2 SATA. I highly recommend, you know, as far as hard disk storage. I'll pull up an example, but I wanted to give you guys a little story that I learned. So ASRock is the other main board manufacturer I'll use for workstations, and the occasional recommendation. I don't really spec out machines anymore. My dad still does that. You know, he's mobile now, and he's still building systems for a laboratory nearby, Sandia, and you know, a lot of small handful of other companies. But this is still his forte. But I learned this from him. The engineers at ASRock left Asus. I guess there was some dispute, feud, whatever. Asus was in its prime, and they went off to start their own because they had a different vision, right? So I personally rate these equally because they come from the same engineers. You know what I mean? Even though the business, the way it operates might be slightly different, as far as reliability, I love these two boards. It's hard to choose between one versus the other. Usually it's availability, right? If I need a micro-sized board and the Asus Micro isn't available, I go with the ASRock in most cases, right? But me personally, I want to go with the underdogs, you know, ASRock. All my personal builds, ASRock, because I like going that direction. But for the clients, that reliability, that name, that you know, decades of experience, it's Asus, hands down. So depending on the build, right? Like Amazon has great pricing nowadays. I mean, you can check Newegg. They're known for being the computer manufacturer part. They were like my dad's primary competitor when he tried to do an e-commerce, but just never committed to it. You know what I mean? Focused on his niche of being local and not doing that wholesale commerce across the world type of thing, e-commerce. So, but yeah, AS Reds. Look, yeah, no, I don't know if it's publicly known. I'm sure it's been spoken on, but yeah, that's why between the two of them, man, the same engineers, they're all brilliant, and I'm pretty sure, to my knowledge, those engineers are still involved in these companies. I don't think they left, but I have been out of that shop for a while. That shop's been, you know, we closed that retail storefront many years back, so I've been out of this loop. You know what I mean? Used to be an everyday thing. Yeah, Newegg is always a great place to reference. Another little trick: if you're ever trying to find a part and you're trying to compare prices, go to Frugal. FROOGLE. They've since made it shopping.google.com, but they still forward it. It's a little tool, man. If you just search AS Rock mainboard, I mean, if I were to give it an exact model number, what it'll do is it'll pull up different e-commerce sites and different pricing, right? It'll even pull up eBay. So it automatically scans all the known suppliers and gets you the best price, right? Usually Amazon is the winner, or eBay if you get lucky. But Newegg is also awesome. I just haven't used them because as much frequently because I don't order these types of parts as much, and Amazon's return policy is insane. Like they even print you a fucking return label. You know what I mean? It's just so seamless and quick. If you need to test something out and send it back, I don't advise that, right? If you're testing it, look at it. Wink, wink. Look at it. Don't actually work on it or power it on, because that does void its technically, right? So proceed with caution, handle with care, as they would say. So one of those two main boards, like 1200 to 1500. I mean, I like Intel, right? i9 is that new processor. I think they consider it like 10 cores and up, 12 cores, 8 cores, hexa-core. It is a bit pricey. It's definitely overkill. So an i7 wouldn't hurt, but when you compare the pricing, it's only $100 difference. So it's a matter of picking your processor first, because if you notice here, I'm sure you know this, and if you don't, right, the LGA 1151, that's its socket. You have to match that socket with your main board. So that i7 1151 compared to that i9 is most like, I don't have these memorized anymore. That's at a 1200. It's an entirely different main board. You know what I mean? So if you wanted to upgrade into an i9 from an i7, you would have to make sure it's on the same socket. And it looks like they do have, so I stand corrected, like if you scroll down, it's a newer one there. This 9900, like the previous generation, the 8 core, not the 10 core, that is an LGA 1151. So in that particular case, you could go from that i7 to that i9 using the same main board. What's optimal? I mean, I like i7. i7's tried and true. It's a great generation. It's a great budget. Those things have always been solid. I still have a Gen 1. It's a 3-digit one. It's a powerhouse. I use it for testing in like virtual labs, and it still works great. Like all these generations that keep releasing, they do get slightly better and they get far more power efficient. Like that Gen 1 is a power hog. I think it just draws insane wattage, and now it's like 25 watts or less. Upgrade size, yeah. So what I'd recommend in this case, right, with the budget, going with a socket that, you know, if you want to go up to that i9, you have that flexibility down the road. So you can even start with an i5, because an i5 on these desktop processors are quad cores, and you pair that with a nice solid state hard drive. Then instead of going from i7 to i9 with only $100 difference, you can go i5, save 200 right out the gate, and they're getting better and better. This one's 6 cores. See, I haven't even been in tune with this stuff, and that's only 185. That is looking like a winner, my friend. You keep it on this socket, it allows you to go up the i9. Unless you wanted to go with a newer gen, I would look at the 10, right? What's the latest gen, actually? And one place to, right, if you're ever looking at processors, I found that if you just type in Google, it just takes you the direct link. So Intel i7 7700 ARC. You go to this subdomain of arc.intel. So you do this for any model number. It then comes and shows you the exact number of cores and threads. If you choose, if you're going to want to do any virtual machines, you know, it allows you to break down that processor essentially. I just use this as a tool to compare processors really easily. So that's a great way to just navigate Google and find the information quickly, rather than going to Intel's website and kind of searching through. Well, SSD is solid state, so forgive me. Are you talking about the M2 NVMe? So these are the ones I'm talking about that are fast. I personally love the Samsung Pro all day. Far like all of the big businesses, high-end clients, corporate offices, the ones who actually have a budget for good equipment, they'll go with this one, hands down, for every single workstation. And I like it on the personal side too because of its reliability. Obviously, always have your backups. I know this is new technology compared to the older hard drives, right? It's more difficult to take a chip like this to a data recovery center to have them read the spindle. So, always practice proper backups. I like NAS servers. It's those, kind of looks like a toaster box. Synology is a great brand. Not to add to like your expenses, but like future thought, you can build out a nice network attached storage server and its form factor. You just type in a 2-bay. That's all you really need. Looks like a toaster. You can fit this anywhere, right? And you can buy 2 large mechanical hard disks, right? The ones that still have the spindles. You could put SSDs in there if you have the budget for it, but the idea of something like this is using a different technology. That way, if something fries that technology, you still have backups that you can read on spindle, right? If you need to. But it's just a good way to practice backing up data. And then these are really cool. If you get 2 of these, there's ways to link these and mirror them off site. So if you have 2 physical locations not near each other, right, for disaster recovery purposes, there's unique applications in here that allow you to link it up and sync it both ways or one way. If you want to protect from ransomware, a lot of cool use cases, and they're fucking affordable. I mean, just the servers, $294 for the base. I do recommend if you're going to use it like an operating system, because it gives you kind of like a Unix-based OS. It's the Disk Station Manager, the DSM. You just go to its IP address, and it's like a computer in a web browser, right? And it has its own uses, and sometimes it's nice to, like, if you're a traveler, you can remote into one of these and manage it and operate it if you need a machine to operate. But in that particular case, I wouldn't skimp on one of these, right? I'd get something with more memory, something with a bigger processor. You know what I mean? This is just the base model, more so for data storage. It's optimal for data storage. But going back to the PC, man, yeah, that i5 is an insane fucking deal. I would compare too, because if you're an AMD guy, I didn't ask. Like in the past, were you more PC or AMD? I'm sorry, Intel or AMD? Duh. That's funny. I was about to get a Surface, and I discovered I have this old school monitor. Not old school. It's something I use. I did buy it like a year ago, but it's my mobile monitor, and it's a USB plug-in touchscreen, and I can draw on it. It came with this pen with this little soft top, and I didn't realize, because Photoshop doesn't really allow you. It's tap, 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 tap. You can't draw through it, but on other applications you can. It's pretty sweet. So I spared myself the expense because that's all it was going to be for. Yeah, man. I mean, I personally, that's, if you were to ask me what I would get, it's Intel. Just based off of that budget, I would start speccing something out on that i5 with the 6-core. Then you might as well go with, I'd have to get back to you on that, but I'm pretty sure the 1200 socket would be the way to go. Always go with the later socket, because eventually they're going to phase out of that older socket. So if you do, for some reason, come to a point in time where you want to stay on this same socket, it's going to be more difficult if it's older, down the road, right? Thinking like 4 or 5 years. But that's how I would always spec machines. It's, we would always build them to last. So all my recommendations would always be built around, well, to save money and keep that same machine. That's the best route. So I would start with something like this, and then it's up to you. I think ASRock might be, and then the best way to search, just type in the main board and then LGA, and then you can generally find, you always want to double check on the manufacturer's website that is compatible with that processor. Sometimes it'll show the same socket, and just depending on some caveat in the engineering, it doesn't work with the board. So always double check, like, you know, depending on the model number you like and you find, like, let's say it's the H570, go check on ASRock on products or support. Pretty sure if you just typed in support manufacturer. Oh, I guess you just search. No, Googling it, for example. Do a quick test. You can type drivers and it'll take you to that section of the website. Just always make sure you're going to the manufacturer. And usually, you know, it's under specs. Where do they throw that here? I scrolled right past it, didn't I? Yeah, so it doesn't specify, so you should be good to go there, right? 10th, and I guess they are on 11th gen. I didn't know that. Yeah, might as well. It is another $70 though. So that's something to look at, right? That saves, you know, better part of $100. So the sound card. Are you going to go with a mic like this and like a mixer? Because if you go with your own independent audio device, it bypasses your sound card, if you think about it, unless you're using your own stereo speakers surround sound. I found that in most of these motherboards, as long as you get one with 7.1 Dolby, it's sufficient. But that's a good question. So I was never audio. I do have a couple buddies who went down the audio engineer path, and I can ask them for you, but it wouldn't be right now. I wouldn't give you an answer right now. But in the past, I found that Creative was always a good one. And I know there was a new one. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure Asus started making their own sound as well, but Creative was always known back in the day, right? I'm sure they still have some of the top leading ones. I just, full transparency, I haven't been on top of the sound world and the PC building world. So, but Creative's another brand. And look, I mean, it's not much, but I will admit, like, in most cases, you know, with all the computers I've worked on and spec'd out, sound cards are usually overkill, right? You get a nice onboard sound, usually does the job, especially if you're using your own device to plug in and then input through that USB audio. It kind of, you know, bypasses your sound, really. So, because right now I'm not using any speakers. I'm using this headset. Everything's just USB. Pretty sweet. And then shoot, if you want CD player, I don't know, like depending on your case, right? Do you have any questions about GPUs? GPUs, I will admit right now, man, are, with the mining and people trying to scoop them up, they've priced them up. So you have to go with certain models that aren't, you know, that aren't hot for mining. Now, this is where the processor talk comes into play. I know that if you go with the i7 or the i9, it's actually beneficial to your onboard GPU because each Intel has its own GPU, its own Intel graphics processor. And the better the processor, the better its internal GPU. So if you're not doing any crazy gaming or anything like that, and you want to save money out the gate, just more focused for recording, because right now, like this camera, for example, is a Sony ZV-1, right? It's streaming through a USB webcam app. So I don't need the nice GPU I got on this laptop, but I got that for my creative work and like Photoshop and all the tools that I want to work with and practice and learn, you know, because I was never really a creator first. It's just more of something I'm pursuing. I don't need that. right? So we don't need a nice GPU to do your vlog. You just need a nice processor with a nice hard drive, good memory, right? Like I would be 16 gigs minimum, right? DDR4, I think, is the latest one. So like if we were to base it off of this one, yeah, they're at 4,800. So I always liked Super Talent, but that was a brand that was only supplied. Let's see if they have it here. No, they don't have it on Amazon. It was a brand that only supplied from our supplier in Milpitas. They were supplied through other e-commerce sites. I found that they were just so fucking reliable. I think it was a Taiwanese chip maker. And but of course, Amazon, it's always Corsair, G-Skill. One of the best ones I found is either Kingston or the Kingston HyperX, or Samsung makes great chips too. Samsung, believe it or not, right? But Kingston is probably my preferred one. If I were to build it myself, I'd look at the HyperX just because it's not much in the grand scheme of things, especially when you jump it up. If you choose to do the 4x4 kit, but this might be outdated. This might be outdated. Or you can even just go with the normal Kingston. It doesn't have to be the HyperX. You know, that's just my personal preference. You know what I mean? I like the black, stealthy looking. I don't like the colors. Oops. Kingston. Like something like this will do the job, you know, for a podcasting budget. Like, don't let the look fool you. They all do the same fucking thing. It looks like that underneath. You know what I mean? It's just that thing does provide a heat sink and cooling for, you know, if you are gaming or using a GPU that's very intensive, right? But this will do the job, and it's at a fraction of the cost, you know, compared. Actually, let's compare it. Could be wrong, because that actually looked kind of similar. I don't want to misspeak. Hmm. Hey, that's a good value right there. 16 gig single for 87 bucks. That's not bad. That allows you to keep all your other slots open. You know what I mean? Compared, I mean, an 8 gig 75, 20, yeah, so it is, you know, a $30 difference roughly. So, I mean, but two of these is practically one of these. You know, it's just a few bucks more. So why not go with something that's more reliable? And we know it's people love this one because they keep making this because it does its job. You know, they wouldn't keep making this brand, this style. They've been making this HyperX Fury for a while, and I love it. Sometimes it's sold out though, and you gotta fucking wait to get them. Haven't experienced that in a while though, but it used to be a thing. Um, yeah, we covered all the components, right? Don't really need a GPU if unless you want me to talk on them. Um, the one thing we didn't look at though, if you wanted to look at it, right? I know Asus, they really went down that gaming path, and they did make some sound cards, really good ones. Like it looks like a GPU. Like Jesus. So I never was like I said, man, I was never audio guy. So, but that's another top brand sound card I would look at for sure, for sure. Yeah, power supply. Good point. Something I didn't talk about. Oh, and with that CPU, they should come with its own heatsink. The OEMs do come with its own heatsink. Honestly, that works, right? Budget, it does its job. Like, especially if you're not doing any crazy, uh, like virtual type or rendering, right? Anything like that, since you're not going to get that GPU. PSU and Tech was always my favorite. Let's see if they're still around. They should be. The Earth was always the budget and power conservative, right? Now, these are pricier than your average power supply, though. You know, you got to understand that. Now, I'm guessing with that setup without a GPU, you can get away with a 550, you know, but look between 550, 650. But then think ahead. Like if you are going to throw in a GPU, you might as well look ahead to a 750 to a 1000, depending on the GPU you think you're going to get, you know. Think ahead. That way you don't have to replace this one because these things will fucking, like, I have some workstations now, mind you, they're not powered on every day anymore, but fucking 10 years these power supplies going. Antex, they fucking, like, they kill it. And then there's another one, I use them for mining, those GPU rigs. Actually, I have one right here. Raid Max had a good budget, but those did burn out. I will admit, a lot of dead ones there. But I was able to get those in bulk. You know what I mean? Get like 20 at a time. That way you have an extra 5 when they start burning out. But let's look at the so Earthwatts is cool. This is actually Gold Pro. I know Platinum on its scale is the best one, but I mean, for what we've been talking about and its purpose, I think that's good enough. Personally, the gold. But shit, if you got the budget, I mean, I think we've specced out something pretty cheap. I think that's all under 1,000, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not too shabby. And then your labor, you know. Yeah. Let's see. What was the other one? Antec. I think it was black. No. Let's type in platinum. This is the. Yep, that looks like a platinum. So this is modular, right? So instead of having the fixed little thing of cabling pulling out the back, you can just choose what you need. Antec signature. I mean, it is pricey. But what other PSU gives you a 10-year warranty? Oh, shoot. I just realized. Have I not been? My bad. I thought I was showing you the screen. I hope you picked up on the things I was showing you. I forget how far back I switched that over. My bad. That was a bad squirrel moment. But yeah, this one, I mean, if you got the budget for it, it's just all, do you need it? You know what I mean? Most people, you just don't need it. If you don't think you'll ever need it, and you know, a 750, 800 would be optimal. Can have peace of mind with that. Yeah, man. I think we covered it all. And then if you ever want to do, man, it's been a while since I built a machine, but I can always tear one down. And on a Tech Tip Tuesday, I'll set up another camera right here pointing down, and we can build one if you haven't built one in a while. You know, fuck it. Why not? It'll be fun. It's just mine might be a little bit different. Everything will already be out and disassembled, but it's always good to practice those old skill sets. You know, I maintain machines and sometimes replace some components, but this is my last month of that. Month and a half. I am, you know, some opportunities rose, but you know, as far as maintenance contracts and day to day, I have to be available. It's the end of this month, man. It's a good feeling. So it's full time Monkey Bites. It's full time this path. You know, that form this year. So fun. Yeah, dude. Thank you for tuning in. I think I'm just gonna end it there. I think it was a great episode. I know it kind of turned into a Tech Tipper 2.0 Tuesday, but I love it. You know, that's what Whimsical Wing and Wednesdays are all about. We go with the flow. So I appreciate you for bringing this this topic, and I hope everybody saw some value in just talking about it. You know what I mean? Sorry about the end of that video. I need to be more mindful of watching the stream. You know, I set up this monitor right below the camera to be more mindful of that. All right, cool, man. Well, shoot, thanks for tuning in. This has been another episode of BitmonkeyTV. Don't forget to go check moralmonkeymob.com, monkeybites.io. Hop in the Discord, come interact. BitMonkey Studio across Twitter and IG. And I look forward to interacting with everybody. Yeah, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace.